February 26. Wolf Rescue 2. No one noticed the family of wolves weaving their way through the hustle and bustle of Lunar One, not even those watching the gate. They had photographs of humans, not three furry lupines that trotted along at the heels of the embarking passengers as though they belonged. The trouble started when the cargo handler asked for the dog's papers. "It's not my dog." And then everyone had looked around. The dog had fled to join its family hiding in the corridor. What now? Was the one question on all their minds. It became more urgent when four women and two men, all dressed in grey, arrived on the docks. Two carried high-powered rifles, two carried dart guns, and two carried nets. All carried collar loops on long poles. "Here, puppy, puppy, puppy," one tried, crouching down and holding out a piece of meat. "Come with Alec." The biggest wolves exchanged looks while the pup whined and wagged its tail, doing her best to behave like a dog. It whined at its parents as though asking permission, and Alec waved the meat once more. "Come along, then. I have a nice warm bed for you." The pup whined again, all too aware that their lives hung in the balance. Strays were put down. Those strays that turned out to be people. The anxiety in its next whimper was real. They all startled at the voice that roared down the corridor. "Jacko, Tabitha, and Nips, come here!" None of them had to fake the surprised looks over their shoulders, and the 6-foot-tall, tank-sized stranger roared again. "Come on! Get your furry asses back here! Come!" The pup got it first and ran for the man, her claws scrabbling on the smooth floor as she slid to a stop in front of him. "Good pup," he said, reaching out to ruffle her ears and pulling a bit of jerky out of his pocket. "You get a treat." The pup sat, its ears perked, its tail thumping the floor as she nipped the treat out of his hand. Like a shot, the two bigger dogs were alongside her. The biggest one lifted its lip in what might have been about to become a snarl, only to have his jaws enclosed in a large fist. "Sit!" the stranger ordered. Then again, when his response wasn't immediate. "Sit!" The big dog stared at him a moment longer, then sat, giving a sulky rumble when the man fastened a collar around his neck and snapped on a lead. The stranger handed him a treat, responding to his partner's whine by ruffling her ears and offering her a treat as well. Both dogs took the jerky and accepted the collar and leash, and then they followed him, through the door for the crew only, and out into the hangar. "Hey!" The cry from the pest control team made the man palm the door open. "I'll be back to pay the fine," he said. "No need to get your knickers in a twist." But he kept the dogs behind him, on the other side of the door and out of sight, until it closed. "Come on, you lot," he muttered, loud enough for a passing baggage handler to hear. "You get me into trouble on every single station, sneaking off like that. What is it with you? You think it's funny or something?" The pup whined and pranced close to his calf, pressing herself against him. The big dog dropped his jaw in a happy, dog-like grin and danced a couple of steps as though the whole situation was hilarious. The baggage handler laughed and kept going. "Funny buggers, the lot of you," the stranger grumbled, and led them into the access lift leading up to one of the ships docked overhead. He said nothing more until they were on board, and then he hastily removed their collars and leashes. All three of them sat on the floor, ears pricked, heads cocked as though looking for another treat. He sighed. "Do you know how much trouble I'll be in if you're really dogs and not the wolves I think you are?" They wagged their tails, and he frowned. "Seriously? You're dogs? All of you are dogs?" And the pup couldn't help it any longer. She started to giggle, and then her form shimmered and she stood up, a little brown-haired child with emerald eyes, watching the stranger's face melt into relief. "Thank you," she said, as her parents shifted from fur to human, smiling quietly at his expression.